So this is not going to be your typical DJI Mic Mini review. There are tons of these already that exist. What I want to give you is something more from the perspective of a Sony user who has been using this ECM-B.T. blah, blah, blah. I'll put the specific model of this fantastic microphone. Now I do say that it's fantastic, but I also have a love-hate relationship with it. I love being able to plug and play, just put the receiver on my Sony camera, the ZV-E1 or the A6700, and not have to worry about dangling wires that could get caught. And more importantly, I don't have to worry about adjusting the volume gain. With regular microphones, maybe like this Miono T5 Wave, it plugs in directly, and I also have a lot of anxiety if I'm going to be clipping, so I need to set the levels. Trust me, it adds a lot of process or a lot of steps to filming. So honestly, being able to plug this into my Sony camera, set the right gain, less is more in this case. There's only 3 settings, 0 dB, 10 dB, and 20 dB, and that's in terms of suppression of sound. Now, the major downside with this Sony mic, even though I loved it so much, was that despite the time it was released, USB-C was well underway, very popular. It uses the crappy micro USB. And I really don't want to have any more micro USB devices in my, having to have that cable around is super annoying. I also get a lot of battery anxiety. There's no battery indicator, and I don't think the DJI mic has that too as well, unfortunately. And I think it just gives you a low battery indicator, but you could be shooting halfway and then you don't know if you're low battery. So you kind of have to charge these up all the time unless you just want to take a risk and have it run out during a mid shoot. Now, none of these mics have any fancy features like 32-bit or internal recording. I don't need that. I'm just a basic YouTube content creator. By the way, my main channel has over 32 subscribers and I do more tech reviews. Do check it out. I'll leave a link. It's called JSyntax. Yeah, I want to do a comparison between these 3 mics. More importantly, not really the Miono T5. I've already done a review on that on my main channel. I want to compare these two because this has the mic adapter, and this is something that I'm really curious about. Is it going to sound as good? Is there any degradation in quality? Is there going to be any noise? Oh, another thing I hated with the Sony mic is that it had a lot of internal hiss or noise, and I would have to add an extra step of removing it. It was very noticeable. It's not like one of those things like you kind of hear it, you definitely would hear it, and it's just awful. Now, some other pros with this, aside from the mechanical switches and the ease of use and the simplicity of it, is that it's relatively small and lightweight. But the transmitter is really bulky. You can see that it's super elongated, long. So if you have a white shirt, I'm wearing a black shirt, you can really see it. It's just a lot of contrast. There's so much like black here. If I have it out, it just looks kind of corny. I really don't like it. And another thing I don't like about it is it's obviously very heavy, so it would flop around. It feels very uncomfortable at times. I just didn't like it. But strangely enough, it is a very compact setup. It's obviously the transmitter is super heavy, but I just like how compact it is. It's very simple. Like, I don't need any case. Like for example here, like this adds more bulk, and the Miono has an extra case to hold all the wires and all that crazy stuff. I just want something simple like this, and I just like how I can just toss this in my gear bag. This is definitely something I'm gonna miss if I do sell this gear. I don't think I would keep this if the ease of use is not as good. I'm sad it's gonna be bulky, it's gonna be big. You have this big charging case, and I know you can buy it without the case and then have these little cradle pods that you charge it with, but I figure the slightly larger case is a good compromise if you want something streamlined and you always have your batteries fully charged. You have the battery indicator, so lots of positives on that side. All right, so let's unbox this. Oh, and one thing, I'm really concerned if this DJI Mic 3 mini adapter works with the Mic 3. Will it still fit on my Sony ZV-E1 cage? Now, that cage from Small Rig had a lot of issues. There are a lot of warnings of like, the way the cage is designed, it could obstruct the hot shoe mount. And it was advertised to work with this specific mic, and there's been no indication of that. I did ask the DJI support to see if it would work for this specific case. And by the way, there's a version B of this case that probably increased compatibility. So I'm really worried that this isn't going to be compatible. So I'm just going to go ahead and unbox it and see if it doesn't work. Maybe I shouldn't even bother opening this and return it to Amazon if it doesn't fit with my case. We'll find out. All right, you get instructions, but don't care for that. You get some kind of adhesive pad, but I don't know what that is for. Now, I've heard buying from the DJI website, they have really strict return policies. The Chinese websites, they don't like you to return stuff. That's why I'm afraid to open this and then maybe even though I bought it from Amazon, maybe they'll get angry at me. Okay, there's a little protective, that's really nice. Okay, so super lightweight. So I went off camera there and it does fit. Smells like new technology, I like it a lot. Okay, so far a green light. Let's open up the DJI Mic Mini. Okay, 10 grams. That's how small the transmitter is, 48 hours with the case, very nice. Active noise cancellation. This is something that I'm really curious about, the auto limiting to prevent audio clipping. You get a receiver, 2 transmitters, charger, carrying pouch, 2 clip magnets, media phone adapter, 4 windscreens, you customize based on white or black, camera audio cable, hopefully I don't need to use that, USB-C charging, documents. Okay, pretty sound. Okay. Yeah, so the reason why I'm hesitant to buy stuff off DJI's website, their return policy is very strict. You know, you're a consumer, you pay a lot of money for a product, you want to be able to return it if it doesn't make a material impact in your life. I don't know, what do you guys think? Okay, this is already so big and bulky. Wow, massive, heavy. Well, this is a nice cute case. Okay, whoa, cables. I don't need that stuff. I just want to get to the actual, okay, windscreens I never use. I always shoot indoors. Oh, this is quite a chonker, man. This other guy was so light. I'm gonna miss him. I don't want to sell him. I wish it was USB-C with no hiss and a smaller transmitter. Even their version 2 with the case that Sony created has USB-C and a charging case. But I don't know, the transmitter looks huge. Wow, this is heavy as. It'd be nice if they gave charging cradles so that I could maybe just bring one. Yeah, you know, yeah, oh wow, okay, looks pretty nice. Fancy. So despite this whole kit being so heavy, wow, this is crazy. And I know one of the nice things about this kit apparently is that it can fit the cables and the windscreens and whatnot, but I'm not gonna put that in there. I don't need the cables. The Mayano is a lot more light, even though it doesn't fit the cables. So let's start with the DJI. 188 grams. That is heavy. And then the Mayano, 137. Hard to say, yeah, it is so heavy. Goodness gracious. And then this one here, 57 grams. It's like 4 times lighter than this one here. Now, yeah, it has 2 transmitters, but it's just a lot of bulk. Like, feels like a robust case though. That's nice. Yeah, the Mayano, by the way, has all this other stuff here, like tons of accessories. I'm not carrying that with me around. Like, I don't need all this stuff all the time. But you do need the 3.5mm jack. And it's kind of annoying that this case, even though it's nice and small and compact, it doesn't have a little compartment for it. So you have to remember to bring it wherever you go. And you get a battery indicator here. That kind of solves the problem that I mentioned earlier. And you can see side by side, they're about the same height. DJI is slightly taller, but much longer there. And then in terms of, it's a little bit fatter too. Yeah, the footprint, I mean, this thing does have a big footprint. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just really heavy. I don't have to carry this everywhere I go. It just adds more weight to my kit. All right, so let's assemble this and plug this in the Sony ZV-E1 for now. So take this big guy out here. To charge it. Oh! Whew! Okay. That's good. I thought I had to assemble it all the time. Now obviously this part here, okay, it's not that bad. I can just plug it in like here. Upside down apparently. Okay, so this is the whole receiver bit. Now one thing that I want to test is apparently the Sony camera can charge the receiver, so don't really need to put this in the case. And now it's starting to make me think like, damn, I should not have bought the case, and maybe I should have just got the one transmitter. I mean, my plan is to get the DJI Osmo Pocket 4 or 5 or whatever, and then have 2 receivers. I mean, this was on sale. How does the magnets work? Ooh, pretty strong. Nice. Okay, so far impressive. So let's weigh the stuff. People don't give you the specific, how much does everything weigh? This is super important. All right, let's do one bit at a time. The magnet itself, if you don't use the magnet, you just use the clip. That thing weighs 4 grams and 9 grams. So together, 14 grams, that makes sense. Let's see the actual case here, just for data points. 140 grams just for the case. Okay, well, let's plug this all in. Okay, we got 31 grams for the receiver, the little USB-C adapter, and the actual adapter for the Sony camera. Now this will be interesting. We got 28 grams. So only 3 grams more. Okay, so that's pretty good so far. And they're almost comparable in size. They're kind of comparable in size. It's like the length is the same, or maybe the Sony is a little bit longer, but it is much taller. You can kind of apples to apples there. So it's gonna sit up taller. But overall, it's, even with the Sony adapter, it's not that bad. It kind of sucks that I have to remove this all the time. That's gonna put some wear and tear. So it's off screen right now, but it protrudes out nicely on the Sony camera and it fits with the cage, so I'm really happy about that. Everything seems pretty good, so let's move on to the next part. The weight, yeah, obviously the case, it's not ideal, and I have no place to put the adapter, but overall, I like that it fits with my, I don't have to sell my small rig case, that's nice. And let's put the magnet, because maybe I'll use the magnet. Like I said, 15 grams versus 27, so almost half the weight. If you look at these side by side, I mean, that's a night and day difference right there. That's same height. It's just ridiculously small, so cool. All right, let's do the sound test.
The A6700 has the Sony mic, and the ZVE1 has the new DJI Mic Mini. And right now I'm speaking with noise cancellation. It is enabled. I see the yellow light, and I'm going to disable it, but first I'll say, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Now let's disable the, just gonna make sure I disable it. So the orange light is on. I'm going to press power. Now it's off. So one of the things I was testing was where I position and how I clip on the microphone has a big impact to the sound quality. So what I've noticed is right now you can see that the clip is on the exterior of my shirt instead of the interior. And I found that this gave better sound quality. It sounded more clear. In fact, at one point when I was comparing the Sony mic with the DJI Mic Mini, the Sony mic is always mounted like this. I never really mounted it on the other way since it's so big, but ironically it clips very well on the shirt. But anyway, on the Mic Mini, it was flipped the other way. And the Mic Mini was picking up a lot more rumble in my voice. It didn't sound as clear as the Sony mic. The Sony mic had more of a, kind of like a dialogue filter applied to it. It almost seems like it tries to reduce rumble or low frequencies and really tries to bring up the high frequencies so that maybe it's better suited for text. But then I later found out that they both kind of sound similar if I switch the Mic Mini with inside. So this is how it sounds. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Now what I'm going to do to confirm this is I'm going to flip both of them and then you're going to hear a different sound. Okay, now you can see that both logos, the Sony and the DJI mic logo. How does this sound? Does it sound more rumbly? And one of the things I'm going to be looking for as I do my test is the Sony mic sounding more like the DJI mic now that it's facing the exterior, that the logo is facing the exterior. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So is it more muffly here in this case? Remember, the ZVE1 is filming with the new DJI Mic Mini and the Sony is filmed with the Sony a6700. Now, if the sound tests are what I think it is, where after doing all the tests, I did find that the Sony mic, despite it having a background hiss, I found it to be more clear. I don't know, the DJI Mic Mini sounded too rumbly. So if this hack of moving the mic outside or within the shirt or making the lapel clip face outside, that doesn't fix it. It's just a downgrade. And I do like the USB-C charging and the case. I never have to turn it on and off, which is nice. I was kind of worried about not having mechanical buttons, but it's nice that it just kind of auto turns on and off. Who knows, maybe I'll keep the DJI Mic Mini. And there's one other test. When I was doing the test and I was holding the mic, it was really far away. It was picking up a lot of ambient noise. I guess it's not very directional, it's omnidirectional and whatnot. So what I'll do is I'll redo that test, the TikTok style, where you hold the mic even closer. I might have to adjust the gain, but we'll see. Okay, so I put the mics a lot closer to my mouth. Maybe this is the closest I would want it to go. How does it sound? Testing mic 1, 2, 3. And one of the things I'll say is, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Which one sounds better? The Sony mic or the DJI Mic Mini? All right, so let's try different positions. Right now I have the DJI mic using the magnet, and this is a little bit nicer. It's not flip-flopping on the edge of my shirt. I can't mount. So how does this sound? Now what I'm gonna do is reverse the side. Like I said before, I did find the mic when it was inverted or flipped around, it did sound better. So let's do that right now. DJI mic mounted underneath my shirt with the magnetic clip facing outside. This is a lot more subtle, it's kind of cool. Maybe I would want it not to be centered, but yeah, let me know how this sounds. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. I think a more realistic place where I would put the mic is kind of on the side, facing exterior. So let's test that again. It's more off to the center like the previous test, not the one where it's flipped underneath the shirt. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So after having run those extensive audio tests comparing the DJI Mic Mini versus the Sony Lav mic, which one do you think is better? Now, in my opinion, this is a very complicated question. It really depends on what device you're viewing this on. Maybe you're watching it on your phone, your tablet, these larger speakers over here. It really does change the perception of how good the sound quality is, let alone the mic placement. If you put it underneath your shirt, over your shirt, in the middle of your sternum, above your sternum, to the side, clipped onto the shirt, it was just all very kind of overwhelming. But what I ended up getting from this was I found that the sound quality was clearer and more bassy, for better or worse, maybe sometimes a little bit too rumbly, with the DJI Mic Mini. Compared to the Sony Lav mic, obviously there was that background hiss that has been persistent, but that could be easily solved in post-production. All you have to do is apply a filter. That could affect the quality though, and it is an extra step. So it's nice to have the DJI Mic Mini kind of just work out of the box. The noise suppression or the noise active cancellation is surprisingly good. It kind of isolates the voice and kind of reduces the bass. So in turn, you could probably use that. Let's enable it right now. Now the cons, what I don't like about it is how big and clunky this case is, but there is a good trade-off for that. Number one is you never have to long press turn it on. And I was really worried about not having mechanical switches to know when it's on and off. You kind of just plop them in the case and they automatically charge, which is very convenient. And then you take them out, you hook it to your phone or to your camera, and you're just ready to go. You don't have to worry about whether it's on or off. It's just always on. Another downside is I don't like the fact that there's no room for the Sony mic adapter to be inside the case. Now I have this little dongle piece that I could easily lose. So that kind of sucks. Overall, I probably would, if I could return this guilt-free, I would probably return it and stick with the Sony mic. I just don't think it's that big of a sound quality update. I don't mind the background hiss. I could just fix it in post. And I much prefer the lighter, more streamlined weight. And dealing with the micro USB is a small trade-off for not having a huge case and having this extra redundant transmitter, which I don't need at this point. Maybe if I were to go back in time, I would return this and just buy the one-piece kit, so one transmitter, one receiver, and have that little cradle. But then you get some negative trade-offs there because now you have to remember to turn it on and turn it off. You have to charge it more frequently, but it is a lighter compact case. So I think I just got to suck it up and deal with the extra increased weight. Maybe 100 extra grams, I'm not sure, correct me on that. But yeah, well, let me know what you guys think. Which sounded better in your honest opinion? Did the Sony mic have a more clear voice tone, or did you find the DJI mic to be a little bit too rumbly? In some cases, the smartphone was super clear. I think the smartphone doesn't have good bass, so any extra bass is negligible, but if you listen to it like on a more traditional sound system, that bass really comes out and it does make it a little bit less clear. Maybe the DJI Mic Mini overcompensates for bass in order to project it better on smaller smartphone devices. This is the current age we live in. Most people watch on their little tablet or phone device. Anyways, I'll leave links to the description to the DJI Mic Mini. Thanks for watching this long video. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. I'll see you in the next video.